address where that's at?
Mhm.
Can I call you tomorrow?
Are you gonna call me tomorrow?
We ready?
In the morning. 2 minutes more. We're trying to get everything set up. We got, we good? We good, CJ? We're missing one though. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay, we got all three. Let us know when you're ready. Let me get you in the party real quick.
My Lunar Prize staff, I need you guys on that T.
Like
please.
stretching and weirdness.
Where?
There go that feet again.
On the T. Okay.
What do you mean, like not come through them?
All right.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
You're on the T.
Okay. Where should I be facing?
Okay, I'm gonna mix up the girls and the guys a little bit.
This way, he's the camera.
Yeah, you could be in the middle. Yeah, be in the middle. Be in the middle. Here, or we could do let's do.
No, you go closer
Yeah,
to Charlotte.
that's a little bit more.
Where should I stand?
More.
Here?
I hear
Right there,
feedback
you go.
on somebody. Does everybody else hear that?
No.
What's in my hand?
Somebody's headset is
I hear
Test.
test.
Is somebody reporting?
it's like
No.
background audio.
Wait, he's the camera right here.
Oh, go. There we go. Makes sense.
Is anyone near like an open window?
Oh yeah, it does sound like an
Like
open
a
window.
wind or something like a.
Mhm.
Somebody driving in their car.
Hmm.
Or in an auditorium. I heard some auditorium sounds.
Is there background music going?
It's I set 0696. Sorry, I have to speak numbers that way.
Scar,
Yeah.
it's you, Scar.
Okay.
You have
Let me
to stand
see.
on or something.
No, but let me see if I go in a very wow, you guys hear that? That's
Yeah.
really low.
Spatial sound, baby.
I know.
Spatial sound.
Actually, we just added as a panel for the conference in April for Full Sail. So important. You know how important sound is, RJ.
Yeah.
Gonna have to move somewhere.
That's where I went.
Yeah, we have the conference there. My conference is there, yeah.
I almost went to wholesale.
Oh wow. Okay.
It would have been for an audio
That's,
engineering though.
Place also, I believe, Virtual World Society.
We actually
It's
just
engaged with. Yeah.
Oh really?
Mhm.
Yep.
Cool.
That's
Very
what we talked
exciting.
about. You know, the
Mhm.
one I invited you to.
Yeah.
April 11th. It's free. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
What's up, El Trim?
You can scoot down a little bit now.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
A lot of people are here. I haven't seen in a while.
Do you mind scooting down just a little bit, JB?
Yep. No, I don't mind, and
Okay,
I
thank
will.
you. I think I knew what you meant. Hi, Jen. How was
It's great to see everybody's here.
Oh,
Such a great, incredible community.
Good, good.
And we are on. We are on. We are on. We are on. Hey, let's get this started. We are here on another Wednesday. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for staying up long enough to experience this with us. This is Ask the Q, Speak Your Truth. I am your boy, Burden of Proof. Thank you guys again. Appreciate you guys. Before we even get into the meat and potatoes of why we're here, we're just going to talk about the big subject in the news right now. And that's TikTok being banned. I don't know if anybody's watching the news or anything, but TikTok, the bill to pass TikTok has been passed, from what I'm hearing, and it's being sent up the Senate. Anybody feel a way about TikTok being banned? I mean, quite honestly, does anybody even have an idea why they would even want to ban TikTok and want to open up and speak about it real quick? I mean, you got the Q box right there.
Hi, I'm back. Sorry.
Hey, great.
I've got thoughts. Yeah.
Who
live.
has thoughts? I want to know. I want to know. Let's open up the can of worms right now.
Well, it's I think it's stemming from privacy issues with information being,
Yeah.
as data gathering. But quite honestly, I'm it's a little embarrassing with our lack of innovation to keep up. I think if we put our energy there, I think we get more productivity. And that seems to be an ongoing conversation sometimes with the progression of where we stand right now. We're limiting others' innovation without innovating ourselves. There are many projects going on which are very innovative, but depending on who's involved, depends on how we interact and hear about it.
100%. Couldn't agree
Bad
more.
for business. It's really bad for business.
Anybody else feel a way about this? Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. I think that it's a fear-based decision, driven by political people who have what they perceive as wanting to exert control over privacy, as Mediclean said. But I think that it's also like a deeper fear in it of othering, and I think that it's sad. I also really grieve for fellow artists like who use Effect House or other TikTok specific tools for their livelihood, their creativity, for community building and other initiatives. I think it's a hardship and sad. I spent time in China and I found it incredibly innovative with technology. And I think in order to act as a global world in a movement for a better world and peace, it's a poor time to create separation or division.
Agreed.
I'm gonna say something different.
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay.
Start. What's
I'm
happening
gonna
with
say I am a little happy that this is happening, because not that it's not gonna be manifested in another application or anything, but the kids of today have TikTok brain. They're more focused on just these little snippets of things, and they can't. What's happening is their imagination isn't being explored because they can see everything at all times. So I think that that's an area that I'm worried about, where the kids may not have the imagination in the future.
Well, see,
Worried.
I would ask, based on that comment you just made, how do you contain the information
I didn't say
that
you
they're
do.
open to?
I didn't say you do, but I'm saying that I want kids to engage more socially than they are within an app.
Understood.
Face to face.
Well, I'm gonna put that on parenting. I'm gonna throw that on parenting. I think parenting is a huge factor in regards to the type of information is consumed by these children and things like that. I mean, within the household, I think everybody knows once they get out the house and around their friends and their peers and things like that, they're still open to the information and things like that. But, and to your point, I think it can definitely be streamlined if people are more parents would be more conscious of the information and things of that nature. Don't let your child at 5 years old have an iPhone or a tablet and things to that nature. And I think you can streamline. So, or a headset. There you go.
Headset.
Yes, sir.
or like it's an opportunity to even teach them as young people to be creators rather than consumers.
Okay, but what
I have a
I'm
different.
seeing,
I have a very-
yes, ma'am.
of
I
course,
have a very different.
good.
So I used to feel the same way and have these battling views that both of you had shared. But since I've been working in a different space and working in government and aerospace, which is actually what's actually driving what we're going to be talking about today, the really space rates, right?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
of these things are overlapping like an onion that all are kind of connected to each other. And I'm not saying this to be like a conspiracy theorist. This is really real factual things that the Chinese people are incredible. So I don't want to confuse Chinese government with Chinese people. They are two different things. They truly are. because remember, it's a socialist situation. It's an oppressive environment. It's not, China itself, Paige lived there. She had quite a few of experiences there with the people. But the Chinese government has 100-year plan to dominate and be the superpower of the world. And that is at all cost.
Yes.
And so when you use technologies, for good, there's also the other part of it, right? Technologies can be used to distract and disturb and destroy. And so there's some concerns about data collection, a variety of things. When you have a foreign adversary of any type that is the majority owner of an app, they're not against, just to get it right, the government is not against TikTok. They're against China owning TikTok. So we need to get that straight right now. So even if the government's only issue is that the Chinese are owning it,
Got you.
they want them to sell it. So TikTok, if you have an issue with people using it or kids using it, that's not what they're asking to be changed, which that is kind of a challenge in itself. But a foreign adversary is what we're talking about. And also when you talk about like other technology, like the Unreal Engine, it's also owned, 40% is owned by Tencent, which is a Chinese company. And that's why it's not been so adopted, because there's some issues with the technology, but also because it's owned majority by the Chinese, and you can't use that in a lot of government spaces. They still do use it, just like they still use other products, right? So the biggest issue, in my view, is that a foreign adversary, a government, not the people,
right,
has influence in that application. That's the challenge.
Burton, I think it's important to realize too that the TikTok in China is very different than the TikTok in America.
Vastly different.
What it's used for their children is education,
economics,
right?
science. Yes, sir.
It's twerking and shaking and moving and things that don't necessarily always have a big impact in our progression.
100%.
There is a 100-year plan, and you can look this information up. There's a 100-year plan. So by 2049, which is not far away, there's an aggressive goal for China to be the dominant world power over the U.S. And that's what we're going to be talking about as well here.
Well, economically, they're already there.
Yes,
well, yeah,
we are.
Can we say BRICS?
we have actually helped create that economy there. The United States has really been, important in that. So not to go too deep, but those are some thoughts.
Oh no, let's go deep, because we're gonna just about
That's
I mean,
really what I was talking about like fear-based decision making.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. I mean, you segue perfectly right into this discussion what we were about to talk about in regards to this. I've been doing a lot of research in regards to this. I keep saying that because the information that I've been obtaining is just ridiculous. Just on a broader perspective in regards to our role as a country and dominance, if you will, in regards to the race to create a presence on the moon. So with that being said, I'm gonna try to explain this in layman's terms as best as I can for you guys before I allow them to interject and give their opinions and share what their influence was to the project. So if I'm not mistaken, this Lunar Prize Project was actually something that was established back in 2017, 2015,
Scarlett,
maybe before then, if I'm not mistaken.
Can you talk about the beginnings? Go, girl. This is Scarlett Arana.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, let's give her a proper introduction. Go ahead, Miss Afiki, because you know a lot more than me.
Yep. So this is the homie here. So Scarlett Arana. We met actually at Immerse Global Summit back in Miami in 2022 in December. I was invited there to support and listen in on Paige speak for the first time in person. We met, and then with my headset on my arm when I was repping Primitive Shapes, I backed into this girl, Scarlett Arana, with her headset on her arm, and I was like, wow, like, what are you doing? We look like we're doing the same thing. And then we just have been like homegirls ever since. And it's been amazing because
Awesome.
I learned so much. And I was able to visit her lab down in Miami and Wynwood. If anybody's been there, it's incredible. Wynwood's really well known for all its art and music. And it's really got a lot of flavor and tech. And so my boys she's like an auntie to them now and inspires them. But she's doing all kinds of things. So she went to school University of Florida for architecture. Am I right?
Architecture.
Originally. And then she went into geospatial and she was awesome at that. Did a lot of work with in climate and with drones and technology. And then also got into blockchain early on. And once she was in blockchain, she started to establish some really incredible programs. Like she is a fellow and a resident at the University of Florida. She established the Blockchain Research Lab, which is a top 5 research school at University of Florida. Yes. So she is incredible. And she's also a Unity dev and she's a supporter of women. And she knows a lot. So
just a big ass nerd, huh?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And every time we talk, it's an hour and a half.
I love it.
So she's also the co-founder of Bit Basel, which is
yes.
really
Hold on, Brooklyn, go down and come back up. Go down up the step, come down real quick and come back up. Say that again.
Oh, I was just saying she's also the co-founder of Bit Basel as well, which is this awesome organization down in Miami who brings, again, the culture, the flavor, the tech all together. And she has all of these amazing initiatives that she's serving that, you know, really, for me, the important part here is like, it all sounds scary. It all sounds fancy. It all sounds out of reach. But this is one of the players right here who's going to make sure to connect the community always, you know, by engaging them through the tech, the culture, the art, and all the things and pushing them to move forward and, you know, get to the moon.
Well,
So,
let's connect the community, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah.
Lunar Prize Project, ma'am. Can you give us some background in regards to this?
Yes. So Lunar Prize. So Lunar Prize is an actual moon museum that was launched fairly recent. And that's actually a program that that NASA. So for the first time, NASA did a partnership with the private sector, meaning NASA, a government agency in the United States, hired Elon Musk from SpaceX and also hired Intuitive Machine, the moon rover. And so that was historical itself because, you know, first time NASA is basically creating these partnerships to do fulfillment. The whole purpose of Intuitive Machine was to do a survey expedition on the south side of the moon because they found water. And so to put in perspective, we haven't been back to the moon since 1972. So this is like, there was no reason to go back to the moon, but this is the reason, right? So there's only been 3 countries in the world who successfully landed on the moon, and United States only recently, like in February of this year, was able to successfully to do so. How we got involved, because we became the payload to this mission where it's about the digital preservation of art from the world that is being saved on this nanofinch disk. The disk is designed to withstand the radiation of space and is constructed in such a way that has the durability. That's the idea of a time capsule that can be placed on the moon is something what we describe as Lunar Prize. And Lunar Prize is exactly that. It's a time capsule moon museum. And in order to elevate the conversation for impact, we selected 222 artists from around the world to create their PR. There's in fact 77 lunargrams on this mission, meaning there's thousands of artworks from books, literature, music, and whatnot, just for the sake of preservation of those digital artifacts.
The knowledge known to man, right?
Yes. Everything from the Wikipedia to
a puff jacket.
Exactly.
Unpublished music albums that maybe nobody's heard by great artists that maybe are historic.
Okay, hold on to that. Are y'all understanding this? Like, are we understanding what's happening right now? So there are a lot of people trying to create a if again, correct me if I'm wrong, trying to create a space on this moon, right? Not just America, China, the Soviet Union, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of these high power countries are trying to establish themselves on the moon. Whoever creates a presence on there first, I'm almost positive rules the world. Not rule the world, like just so to speak, just a figure of speech.
Burden, you have to imagine.
Oh,
to give
go
you
down,
perspective.
Fiki, come down and come back up.
Oh. You have to imagine why that's important. And it took me a long time to really understand this because I thought,
Yes.
what do you mean? But why that's important is imagine if you're on the moon and you have a base and you're not friendly with Americans and say you're an adversary and you have a hunger for control or domination. If you're looking at the earth, imagine from a war perspective what that means. So for the US, we unfortunately, whether you are somebody who supports war or not, we have to compete to keep people safe. We have to be there and we have to, for a variety of reasons, not only because it's cool. And what Scarlett's sharing, and we talk about this often, is impact. We have to get people excited about getting there and innovating because we can't just, no matter how powerful your government is and how much money you have to get people to the party to start making the technology to make this happen. And how you do that is with art and music. And so what Scarlett's done is she's connect creators. And you've heard the term creator economy. You've heard that before, right? That's a big term. That's a buzzword. But what does that really mean? And if Scarlett, you would explain that the way, and maybe remember that everybody here doesn't always have these conversations on a regular basis. So just kind of break it down, sister.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the creator economy. So that's what Bit Basel is really about, my company. Bit Basel really is how to help the creators and empower them with the toolings of the internet. So whether you're working on XR, AI, or blockchain, that's what we've been doing. We since the inception. Bit Basel's been born in 2020 back in Miami, Wynwood. So a lot of the stuff that you hear from the blockchain Web3 Miami has to do directly from what we have been doing because we've been building the ecosystem there. And so the whole point of helping support the creators has to do how is technology creating impact. Since the inception, Bit Basel has been working with the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. This is something that the United States helped to inspire us. These are the global goals of the world, everything from gender equality to climate change, to water quality,
There's
hunger, and so forth. There's
17 goals. Yeah.
There's 17 goals. And the idea here is let's empower the creators with the toolings to tell their story and how they're using this technology to create impact in the world. And so we thought this would be an amazing opportunity to elevate those conversations on the global world, to show, hey, these are artists being taking notable recognition because they're doing major impact and they're helping the community by elevating this conversation. So, we have to see the moon what it is. When astronauts leave Earth and they look back on Earth, they experience what they call the overview effect, meaning like we live in this nice little blue marble, and that there's really no boundaries, right? So there's no like what happens for the world affects the other. So we therefore have to protect it because we really don't have a planet B, right? And so how do you elevate these conversation where there's powerful countries, right? That don't necessarily want to work with each other, but have to work with each other because we definitely live in one planet and it's called planet Earth. So we leave it up to the creators to help build those narratives, those stories, and how they're making those changes and elevate those conversations by honoring and by preserving their art as a legacy to the world, and also using as a way to elevate those conversation on a global scale. So that's why, from my perspective, it's more like, we want to also preserve humanity's cultural value so it doesn't get lost. And also, one of the things that had happened by working with artists is the fact that sometimes art has been suppressed And this has to do with, sometimes because the culture has been suppressed. Even here in the United States, I was, really surprised how much art there is. And it's because we don't prioritize that. And that's something that we should be elevating. We like what happened to us, why we're suppressing art, and that's really a key aspect to innovation. So, you can't really remove, you can't have science without art. And so why don't we inspire them to help, bring back that part of the connection of the human being. Art is very universal, and it really does help translate complex knowledge. I could show you an amazing art piece, and then everybody understands it in this room, regardless what language you speak. So that's why it's very important to like elevate these conversation, especially if you're trying to do impact, to help people understand how are these tools being used in an ethical way, and how are they affecting their community. So we only picked 222 artists. 22 of those are the SDG impact artists, and each artist have amazing initiatives, everything from gender equality to climate change to better water quality, to better education, infrastructure, and so forth. So I really love how, we're talking about the problems of each artist, because this is all about, what makes you, what are you doing to the world? What kind of, what are you giving back
What's
to
your
the world?
contribution? What's your contribution? Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
To be placed on this museum, because for all intents and purpose, it is a museum. It's just that this museum happens to be on the moon. The way you see this museum, we're actually in it, right? It's the internet, so it's gonna forever live on the internet. It's using decentralized nodes, meaning it lives in every single computer through blockchain distributed technology. Um, and so as long as the internet exists, you could be able to virtually see it. And if
Okay, hold on,
not,
hold on. Because Matty Cakes would sit up there all day. Matty Cakes, what you got, my guy?
A couple notes actually. I agree. I agree in the aspect of art because let's think about what's being discussed right now. We could take back to the previous conversation that was being had about the difference of TikTok in one country as compared to another country, where in one country it's all about science, it's all about work ethic, it's all about this, and then they cut it off at a certain time at night. That's the progression of the mindset and everything. Whereas on the other hand, and the influencers and stuff like that, whereas they don't pertain to art so much, it's important for art to live on and exist. That's reminiscent of things like Fahrenheit 451, or what was a movie with Christian Bale? Anybody? Equilibrium. Remember when he was Cleric John Preston? And they would make you take a pill every day to suppress human emotion. And the reason why they wanted to do that, and that's really heavy in places like North Korea. No discrimination against Koreans, of course. Phenomenal people. I'm talking about the government. But in places like that, where they will suppress your emotions and everything, because emotion, love, poetry, art, these are things that we live for. We are primal mammals that at the same time can write beautiful eulogies or haikus or paint scenery. Other creatures do not do this. And
emotion evokes change, Maddie. Emotion evokes change. And that's why they don't want change.
And that's a scary aspect, because change and emotion are on a wider range of spectrum that a lot of people empower fear. Because the people who are in power fear the passion, the willpower, the things that push us forward as people. So to put a symbol like that on the moon is epic, I'll say.
So now we're understanding the importance of this particular mission.
Thank you.
And why U.S. is on the forefront of ensuring that we establish a presence up here on this moon, because we want to be the narrative and control the narrative, if you will, in regards to art and things to that nature. Now, with that being said, so now we have an idea of everything that's been going on. There is a rocket that literally has a ton of American information on it that's went and touched the moon. Now, a portion of this, like she said, there was a robot motor a robot bot or something like that that can only travel 5,000 meters or
Well,
something to that nature to
yeah,
take.
Odysseus. We gotta start there. So Odysseus was part of the payload that had all of this information that was going to the moon. You may have heard it called Odie or Nova C.
Oh,
correct?
yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Odysseus is part of the Intuitive Machines project. And I actually just posted something and I wanted to share it with everybody. But if you haven't seen it, I was able to sit front row and listen and meet with Cam Ghaffarian, who is the founder of IBX, which is Imagine, Believe, Execute. And
Okay.
he also is, so IBX is the parent organization of Axiom Space, which launched the launch just before this that Scarlett and I went to and got to witness in person at Canaveral.
Okay.
And then we went again for this event and we witnessed Intuitive Machines launch.
So we have a whole museum going to the moon
Mhm.
and
from the
of
spaceport. From the spaceport.
in the spaceport, full of information from America and creators from America. And you guys are part of those creations as well. So now what we're going to do is go down from everybody down on the panel. And I would like for you guys to give your names and give your influence in regards to what was contributed to the actual launch.
So we'll start with JB.
I worked on the Bitbasal World that's here in Horizon.
Joseph, tell them your name, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Joseph Bransick.
Yes,
people
sir.
call me JB. JB, Joseph Bransick. I worked on the Bitbasal World here in Horizon. I did a lot of scripting, did a lot of art, and very, very, very pleased to have worked on this project.
How did you get involved in it, JB?
Afiki, go down and come back up because I think you on the edge of the voice box.
Paige and RJ invited me to assist and work on it.
Awesome. Brooklyn, why we bouncing over you?
Oh man, what's up, y'all? I'm Brooklyn Britt. Some of y'all know me from in here, as your neighborhood friendly, just funny person. No, I'm kidding. I'm a part of the Horizon Worlds community. I have been for a few years now. Through the Horizon community, I was able to connect with Afiki 817, as well as all of you lovely people and Scarlett as well. And they so graciously allowed me to come into the Lunar Prize Project as part of the VIP lead team for the event that happened at Kennedy Space Center. And so I got to work alongside Bitbasel as well as Space Blue, the Arch Mission Foundation, a couple of other companies as well. There's a lot of companies that are involved in this. So my apologies if I'm missing some of them, because I want to make sure that we're giving credit to everyone because it's a very big effort and it takes a lot of organization, a lot of people, a lot of skill, a lot of things to come into place and to go perfectly for this type of stuff to be done. And so for me, it was, I got the pleasure of being a part of it in person. And I got to learn a lot about the companies involved and the initiatives and just the overall mission and, the importance of it. And if it's okay, I would like to read a quote from the Arch Mission Foundation, who so graciously were the ones who, sponsored the payload to go up. And so they have something that's called the Lunar Library, and the quote is from their website, and it says, "We dedicate the Lunar Library to inspire all children who look up to the moon and to all dreamers who yearn for the light. Alone, late at night, when gazing into the milky heavens, travel out beyond the limits of time and space. Resting simply with your mind in the presence of moonbeams, forget yourself in the silence, in the radiant gap between thoughts. It's oneness, not nothingness, transcending nations, beyond cultures, free of genders and ageless. We are one human family, brothers and sisters. We are the people of the light. Believe in it. All you seers and knowers, you bringers of the dawn, Humanity has a destiny, and it whispers to us from the stars. It is our vision and wishes, in our hopes and in our dreams. We sensed it in the optimism of childhood when looking at the sky. Treasure is calling, honor your memory, and heed the invitation. Rejoice, all you keepers of the books, and all you seekers of light. Like the moon, you illuminate the night. Like the sun, you are the starlight. Like the heart, you bring the shine. So bright.
Love
And
it.
that's from the Arch
Oh,
Mission
lovely.
Foundation.
Awesome. Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Miss Page.
Really lovely. Hey. Woo! Woo! So I'm Metaverse Page. I have been in Horizon since 2019 as a pre-alpha creator, founding director of Better World Museum, Horizon Art Museum, and Women in Horizon. And I actually knew Scarlett from a long time ago. I applied to a Games for Change mission to the moon program a long time ago, and I think Scarlett was behind that. And then my friendship with Afiki brought us all together again. Afiki Ariane organized, was a program director for MetaCenter Global Week, and you were like, the whole month leading up to it was like, oh, wait till you meet Scarlett. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to meet her in real life, right? And so I came down, and Afiki was an incredible host. And through Fiki, I met these incredible friends that
All of
are
us.
here. All of
Yes.
us,
We all
right?
got together in real life, like what, like 25 of us?
Oh, totally. And we
Yeah.
had a great time.
Awesome.
Like from minute one all the way through, we had an awesome time. And well, I
Yes.
love Fiki. She worked hard on organizing that. And
Mhm.
Brooklyn Britt
Yeah.
led the volunteers.
Yes.
And Scarlett,
Yes.
I mean, I loved meeting her in real life because finally, like we like collided, like, you know,
Right.
stars, right?
Yes.
And I've long been super passionate about black holes and drawing them and space phenomena. In fact, I for the last year I've been creating like this space fashion, and one of my first worlds here in Horizon way back in like 2020 was actually like a space garden. And so I've never really stepped away from that passion. And like right before MetaCenter Global Week, I was part of like this Mission Impact Academy's AI program. And I had built a metaverse world. It was a project I directed through like where I was working, and like we made this metaverse. It was with Unreal, and the whole thing was to host this art AI art that we did
Yes.
in this program with like 70
It's
other
a-
women.
Yes, it's the special Mission Impact Academy is a special program also that well, Paige was actually doing some work with them for Women of the Future, but they're doing incredible work to provide AI skills to women from all over the world. Actually, 1 million women by 2030, and that's the
Awesome.
goal.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Paige is involved, and I'm an ambassador, and then Brooklyn's been involved as well. Scarlett's been involved as well. So the theme of this is getting everybody to the party, like Paige is kind of saying, like kind of it's a important
Got you.
to include everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so we had this project, right, during it where we were going to make AI art. And then we imported it all into this metaverse that actually I directed as through the job I had at the time. And my AI art piece was this moon garden. And we got into this conversation at that time about using this AI art to manifest our next truths in our life, like a vision board. And I said, well, that's it. I'm going to make gardens on the moon. I'm going to that's it was as obvious as
who would have thought?
day and right, exactly. So
at the same time, Scarlett was telling me we need to have a rave on the move. So I'm like, you guys really need to know each other.
Yeah. And we already did, but not in real life. So Fiki brought us all together in real life. And after the conference, I just didn't want the good vibe to end, right?
Yes.
So I knew because I went to Scarlett's event about the that we could submit something to the moon, and I just started a world and invited the people that were in the chat thread as collaborators. It was just like an obvious, simple way to continue and also honor Fiki for bringing us all together in real life, right?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so, we just RJ started creating, and I brought in I made it like a flat ground, and you were like, oh no, you took apart an asset and made it like a moonscape. And I brought in this little NPC, and I think that you turned it into this adorable creature. And one person added, and another person added, and the next. And then pretty soon it was like this beautiful collaborative space, right?
Including my son who is 10 years old, and that's also very important because we have to be thinking about that. And so it just made this really neat space for people to make things and be part of, and I'm grateful to Paige for that. It was really valuable.
Well,
thank you.
RJ,
And then I went down. I went to
go ahead.
volunteer. I went down to Miami to spend more time and build this relationship with the people invested in the Moon Museum. I had zero money, and I went down to Miami, and I volunteered for all of these events that Scarlett was hosting to really create this deeply invested relationship. So
it was more than that. It was that we went down to Art Basel. You may have heard of it. It's a big thing that happens down in Miami, and we supported Scarlett and the team. We went to, what was the name of the event? I've done so many things lately. Please forgive me.
It was the Moon Party.
The Moon Party.
Yeah.
But there was the conference at one of the keys there, the festival. It was so amazing.
Oh, Art with Me.
Oh my gosh. When I tell you, it was literally the coolest festival ever.
Yeah.
And there was it was unbelievable.
That's
Papaya was there. They had
6,000.
all of these. Yeah, it was incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got
here we go.
other
So here we
artists
go.
that are part of the Moon.
So here we go. We got a break. Hold up. I love the story. I appreciate the enthusiasm and everything, but we are about to go to commercial real quick, and we're going to take a 30-second break, and we're going to come right back to hear. Well, I'm sorry, 1 minute break, and then we're going to come right back to hear about how RJ and Metaclean Rupert contributed to the build and their efforts to the Prize Project. We'll be right back.
Oh wow.
Wait, how long is the break?
Minute.
1 minute.
A minute.
1 minute.
This is just like real life. Yep.
You with your little secret quote. I'm done with you.
In your
Yeah,
Yo, thinking.
I gotta
I was
get
like,
in while I
where's the
can.
Wu-Tang albums on there?
Wow.
To the moon.
To the minute to beyond.
It's been
From the
There we
metaverse
go.
to the moon, y'all.
For follows. There we go. Let me just a little house cleaning here.
Universe to the moon.
From the metaverse to the moon.
That's a great.
You know,
story.
it's so funny. This is the only community that actually understands metaverse. 'Cause, man, trying to explain to normies what the metaverse looks like.
Oh yeah. We go through that, right, guys?
Oh gosh. So I'm here trying to say it's the 3D internet.
have
Because that's what this looks like to them, right? So
AKA Dangerously Wild from VRU.live. and she is
we
giving
call them
the
noobs in the
tea
metaverse.
on
That's what we call them.
everything,
So that they can see it.
production and
The muggles, the muggles.
We have a lot of normies.
A lot of yeah, for sure. But you know what? AVP will help with that. Look,
We're not getting a ton of
because you know
questions.
everybody's gonna want to jump on the hype, so AVP is gonna be on that.
Okay, and we are back.
Let me know.
We are
Alright, y'all.
back.
I hope
We
you
are
guys
back.
ask
We
more
are back.
questions, please.
Before we cut the break, where everybody was engaged in a phenomenal conversation. But now we're going to hear about two of the well, one person isn't really an OG in the game, but he's definitely making headways in this damn place.
Yeah.
RJ, the creator, man. How you doing, sir?
Good.
If you don't mind letting people know who you are and what did you contribute to the Lunar Prize Project?
So I'm RJ, the creator. So it's actually funny because I had no idea about any of it at all, and literally like a Fiki in I think Brooklyn, like simultaneously were like trying to make me like get me a part of it, and I had no idea what I was big.
We were trying to make you.
I had no idea what I was even working on. Literally, like I was just like, okay, space, but okay, cool, So I'm working on it and stuff. And I was in there by myself at first for a bit, and then obviously I got JB in there because JB was already kind of in the mix, but I wanted to kind of get JB in there with me. And so once me and JB got in there, then it's just kind of we us two get together, it just gets crazy. But then I had to like stop because I would have just built the whole thing myself. I was like, this is a collaborative thing, so let me back off.
In like one day,
Afiki,
right?
come down and come back up.
Yeah, it's good morning, really.
Yeah.
I was gonna say is that RJ, he's always. Let me just say this: if you haven't connected with him and seen his world, you are really missing out. Like he is solid, and not only is he solid in here, he's the solid human in real life. And every time I've asked him, no, you need to know that. And everybody feels that way when he shows up and he shows out.
Yes,
and
he does.
let me tell you, he's the biggest supporter. He helped us build our Meta Center Global Week World, which was so incredible. I can build, but I can't build like RJ. And he came in and he just really helped us. And then with this special project, he came in and also threw down again. It's just easy for him because it's like ingrained in who he is. So definitely, I just want to give a big shout out because whenever I ask him to show up, he goes above and beyond. And those are the kind of people
100%.
that are your homies, right?
Yes,
they show up
ma'am.
when you need them. I just want to give you that shout out.
It was funny though, because like once I actually figured out what it was, I was like, oh, okay. It's actually a little bit bigger than I thought. I'm thinking I'm just working on like this regular, I didn't know really what I was working on, but once I heard the story and actually realized what I was actually working on, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty awesome. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to. That's the next question. So go.
Keep
Go
going.
ahead.
yeah, but that's the thing. So that's why I hit JB. I was like, dude, man, you got to check this project out because like, and I kind of. Or I think we were talking about like what it was, and I was like, this is actually a pretty big deal, and I was like, cool, and I wanted to kind of be involved in it for sure. So that's why I kind of put my hands on it. And
you were actually supposed to come down from Meta Center, but you had some family things to deal with, and so we were just wanted to keep you involved in it because we know that in the future you'll be able to participate in things, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah. My wife's from Israel, so she has family in Israel. So I was dealing with stuff with that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad the situation got resolved, man. I'm glad the situation got resolved.
Well, our house got bigger. That's what happened.
Well, there you go. Mr. Dubai.
Woo!
What's up?
What's happening, Captain?
Everybody? Good. First of all, let me just
hold on. Before hold on, Rupert. Hold on. Damn that. You're not doing that. If y'all don't know who that man is, Medically Rupert, aka OG, aka hip hop, aka Mr. In Everything, aka if you need it, he got it, aka I don't know, owner of the Biggie portrait I want real bad. Yo, he's a man of many talents, man. Jack of all trades, master of none, but he knows a whole bunch of little bit of everything. So what's happening, sir?
I appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you. First of all, just thank you for the opportunity. Listen, I met these people physically, having the opportunity to go down to Orlando. I was part of Brooklyn's volunteer team, and Super put me on his social media team. Why, I don't know, because I'm not a social media guy, but he knows that I like networking and access. So that allowed me to really talk to some people.
Definitely.
And honestly, just the fact that I'm even on the stage with all these talented creators is a blessing, right? Because I'm not really known so much for my creativity when it comes to building. As I
Don't
move
know
and
why,
navigate this
but
space.
okay.
But you know, if I had to put it in terms, I'm a UX expert who helps businesses and creators navigate immersive experiences through virtual reality. Right, that's
Yes,
kind of
sir.
what my goal is here. But
Love it.
but these conversations are important, right? So when I approach the team and ask you for the opportunity to tell the story, you know, for me, it's all about impact and being able to tell our story in spaces that we don't always necessarily have the opportunity to enter, right? And for everybody listening, I want you to understand and realize one thing about the power that you have, right? There are a lot of educated people on this platform, but there are also a lot of different experiences, and it doesn't really matter from whence you hail from when you look at where you can go. Like I really literally broke down in tears hearing Brooklyn's story, because how does this little brown girl immigrant come to the country and now heads and gets to be on a project that goes to the moon? Like how many people can, and it's an emotional story, right? It's a story that needs to be told, which is why I felt like it was really necessary to do what I do, right? I'm not going to be a RJ or a Ficky or a Scarlett or a Paige or a Joseph or a Brooklyn in my contributions to what this thing is. I can contribute how I do best, which is through connecting people and the understanding of the space and people, right? Which is,
Yes, sir.
I realize how impactful this story can be, especially for people who navigate this space and don't always realize that there is still opportunity when you're not recognized. It doesn't matter
Yes.
who you meet, who you're introduced to, the opportunity will always lie within your mind's imagination and the limitations you set for yourself, which is unlimited. And people
Yes.
really, really have to recognize that you just don't know where it's going to come from, right? So when you exclude people, or when you only go through the process of just hand selecting the best people to do a project, realizing that you're missing out on an immense amount of talent that you may not recognize is even there, right? These conversations have to happen, but you've also got to inspire people to have the confidence to do something greater, to hit that publish button, to get out of their comfort zone and realize, hey, I might not be the best, but I'm still a critical part. Like there was a quote I just put up that I read from somewhere, and it says, "Listen, I don't have to be the star player on the basketball team, but I sure as hell got to put up points if that's what my role
Facts.
is, right?" So everybody can contribute and everybody can play a part into any part of this. The fact that my little contribution, you know, I did the actual rocket, and there were two versions, right? Because I made a version, and Snow Creations Venom, who is not here, made the actual version that's sitting in the Bit Basil world. My version is a version that's JB made look phenomenal because he scripted it to launch and take off and really brought life to it. But you know,
Yes.
my simple
Collaboration.
contribution is now on the moon, right? That is something that I woke up a year ago and didn't have a conversation with myself about how can I get artwork on the moon. Just saying yes to opportunities, no matter what you feel it can lead to, or not even knowing the outcome. Because when we made it, I didn't know that was the goal for the project. They asked how can I contribute, and I was just like, well, let me do something simple based on what I know I can do that won't turn the whole project to ish. You know, and I put the rocket together, but really, man, just opening up yourself up for these opportunities and not knowing where they can lead to is where everybody's mindset should be, and not so much focusing on what people can do for you, or who's recognized, or how your name is mentioned in open spaces. So it's just a
Yes.
privilege
Yes.
to be here, man. It really is.
Yes.
Can I
As Howard
build
would
on what
say,
he
message.
can I build on what he just said? Because I think what he said is the message of what's so powerful here. And when I talk to Paige is a community builder. That's what she
Yes.
does. And I'm an ecosystem builder, which leads into that. And, you know, I bonded with Brooklyn, and I want to just share this because of our stories being similar. Both of our parents are immigrants. We're
Yes.
both, you know, my father is Caribbean Black and my mother's white. Brooklyn's Dominican, full through and through, all day, every day. So,
All
um,
day.
all day. And so I think that, to know what it means, for me to see, my father come to this country as an immigrant was something to prove and nothing, right? And always have to work extra harder because he's also a Black man, right? And to be aware of that growing up in a place that was very few people looked like me. And then even now, I still don't quite fit into both molds, right? People look at me and assume I'm Hispanic or something of that variety. And so there's a variety of things always. And I want to just be clear here that all of us are equal. Like, we are all part of this. So we're all contributors. Now, initially, just showing up is a win, right? When you get people to come to the party. But then it's like, what can I do? Everybody has something different to give. And for me, I worked in the same industry. I started a family really early. I did not have a college education. And I worked in colleges. How wild is that, right? My peers had master's degrees. And I came here and I met people and they inspired me that there was something more. And then I took that somewhere else and made a whole new career up for myself at over 40 years old, being a single mom of 3 boys. And so anybody can do this. You just have to just say you want to be part of it. And I think almost everybody here, have I said to you, nearly everybody, I invited to come to Medicine or Global Week. And it's because I really wanted you to be part of it. And that invitation doesn't go away because these individuals here, they came there and they were shining bright. Medically was doing his thing. Paige, everybody knows her already. So there's nothing I was going to do to help that equation. She's already got her thing. Everybody was there. JB, of course, the OG from Detroit. He worked in 3D modeling and all these things for years. Scarlett, we have an MOU now with the VRARA, which is the Virtual Reality Augmented Reality Association. We also have, and so we have partnerships, and I've been working with her. The thing is that everybody here is invited to be part of it if you can be. And a lot of times we help each other out to make sure we have what we need. So please, if there's something you feel tickled to be part of, or you want to be part of it, or you want to know more, just reach out because everybody's invited. We all have something to offer. And the more people we have with different experiences, whether you came from very humble beginnings like me or not, like you all have something to offer. And we want everybody to be involved.
Now, with that being said, I'm gonna just let all y'all know, if y'all didn't know, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask the panel, feel free to jump on the cue boxes and ask away. Because I'm definitely gonna ask about 50 questions in here. So with that being said, I mean, I just really want to know. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna hit that all day, probably. I'm sorry about that. What was the feeling when you guys got that call and said, hey, we want you to be a part of this project that's gonna touch the moon? Miss Paige.
I actually
come down and come back up.
I'll say that there was a little bit of like hesitancy because I didn't want our team members to have false hopes. I didn't until we knew that we were.
I'm gonna say it. I knew we were going.
Okay.
I talked to Scarlett. I knew we were going. I was excited. So.
But I didn't know for sure. Right. So I made a submission. Yes. I created a proposal. I flew down there and volunteered at 5 events. Right.
Scarlett was like, you're going, right? I'm like, yes, but Paige is gonna be all right.
Well, I didn't want anyone to and then there was like a question of, well, once it's launched, it has to land, right? And that landing
is true.
So we didn't want everybody to be really excited and tell everyone in the whole like that they know that their art is going to the moon unless it was actually going to
go down. Hold on. Miss Paige, go back down and come back up. I think you're like in the middle of the volume button.
Okay. So we didn't want anybody to like tell. I mean, it was really hard to keep that under wraps. Oh my God, my art's going to the moon, right? Our collaboration's going to the moon. It would have been so hard to like keep it like inside.
Undercover, yeah.
Yeah. And so to protect the mission itself,
which is really important. Really,
Is really
really
important, right? That it
Scarlett,
was
can you
seen.
speak on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why some of the members here didn't know, like the whole time, that this
Yeah.
was going to the moon until like the very kind of the end, right? We talked about it at first, but there was no confirmation.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, again, many companies has tried. There was another mission called Astrobotics that was trying to do the same before Intuitive Machine, and it failed. So, the whole point of not announcing prior to it because it's because the high probability of failing. So we actually told all our artists, don't overcommit anything. Don't say you're on the moon where you're not. So that was the biggest hurdle. Like, don't put expectations out there because so many has failed already. And of course, I'm very optimistic. I was like, of course, we want to say that we went to the moon, but we were seeing many launches have failed prior to this.
Yes.
And so I kept saying, let's celebrate when we actually land on the moon, because there's multiple components that could go wrong. And
well, to that fact, if I was not mistaken, a month
It's on
prior,
its side.
there was an actual one that had to
Correct.
cancel because it was getting too hot or something like that. Am I correct?
Yeah, one of the tubes broke loose, and
Yes.
and then it didn't quite make it. And I also had art, but it didn't make it.
Right.
And it's funny because we learned from their mistake. They actually said, "Oh, we're going to the moon," and then they look bad. They actually look bad because they didn't make it.
Odysseus is actually on its side right now. Just to give you perspective.
Okay, so when you
Yeah.
so when you say that so the Audi the
Nobody, yeah.
the motorized
moon lander.
It's a
yeah,
moon
it's
lander.
literally so it landed on the moon, but it's on its side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
on
to
its
get
belly.
you guys to understand
It
what
was
they're
it was
talking
supposed
about.
to land like this, but it actually ended up coming down this way, and so they just kind of propped it up and kept it up this way.
Right.
And it landed with the door with the hatches facing up, which was good.
Right.
So they've just been utilizing it.
So
in
they're
that-
able
in
to
that
still
function.
collect data and
Collect
everything.
data and things like that.
Right.
Like, okay,
Right.
cool.
And it's
So
still
let-
Who would
landed.
have thought
in-
going to the moon would be complicated? But I mean,
Well,
very complicated.
It's not like rocket
Even
science.
with everything we know.
Vernon,
Yeah.
Right. It's
Vernon,
not rocket
yeah.
science or anything.
In
Right?
our conversation, you have to remember, everybody, the moon is a 3-day minimum trip. Even though it looks close, like the lander took 7 days to get there.
Yeah, it took a week. Yeah. It took a
So
whole
to
week for it to get
moon.
there.
So you have to remember that it's not an easy task.
It
right?
took 8 minutes to go up, but for it to
Yeah.
actually like land on the moon, and the reason why too we ended up learning after the fact was they actually had to take, so on this rocket there are multiple payloads. It's kind of like a school bus, right?
Yes.
So if you pay for a seat, you're on it. And so the Lunar Prize was one of the payloads that was on there, but NASA, for instance, had 6 payloads on there. A lot of it being, like satellite,
That's for lunar
or software,
sustainability.
software like stuff. And so what they had to do was they actually ended up getting permission from NASA to utilize one of the payloads to kind of just like do a software update and like reset the whole thing to use it to be able to,
That's right.
to finish that landing to get the
That's
OD actually on the surface
why,
of the
that's
moon.
exactly why it worked. What she's
Right.
saying is 100%. It was actually not working. They had to pull these other situations into play. And it was interesting because all of us, including you, Burden and Scarlett, and we're all messaging each other like updates, if you remember that day, right? And it's delayed or it's coming faster, because there's no perfection to it.
Right.
But it's really interesting because this is the one thing I would leave you with that I think is really valuable. Space is democratized. Space is for everyone. And I want to say that clearly and loudly. Now, you may need a lot of money to get there.
Okay, so stop. No, hold on. I knew you were gonna do that. Yo, let me tell y'all, space travel is just as common nowadays as a spirit flight to California. If you have enough money, like it's becoming that common. Like, if I'm not mistaken, the Florida launch pad is overbooked right now. And people are on standby to get their materials sent in the space.
think of it
Am I
as the
not
airport.
mistaken?
Yeah.
Brooklyn?
Man.
Brooklyn
Yeah,
takeover. Yeah.
so that's why it was imperative for this project to stay under wraps as long as it did, and why information didn't come out right away, because one, this would be the first time we were going back to the moon in, I don't know, 4 or 5 decades for one. But two, this would also
51 years.
51 years. Check that out.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Right.
5 decades and then some, right? And so, but two, also because we needed to make sure that this was something that was going to, work, because what made this trip special was that it kind of marked that beginning, of private travel to the moon. Before, I tell this story all the time, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. And, during that time, you had to go to school, get good grades, go to college, go to the military, serve your time. And
Yes.
maybe if you met certain requirements, you would get to that point. But this trip, what this successful landing means is that no longer is the only method to get to space.
Right.
And that's what I want to leave you guys with in terms of all this overwhelming information.
Can you just throw a price out there in regards to how much one of these trips actually cost a company or
a payload is starting at $300K with
a
SpaceX.
house?
but that's to send stuff on their rocket on a Falcon 9 out.
So
now, if you're talking about like private space travel, like actual travel, like yourself, there's a whole nother ballgame. But it's actually
you got to
cheaper.
think of it as transportation. So I'm going to say this, and I hope
Go
it's
ahead,
not.
go ahead.
Yeah. So think of this. Okay, so you have launch pads. Like some of you may be familiar with, like Houston. We have a problem. There's a launch pad in Houston, right? There's a launch pad at Kennedy here in Canaveral. There's a launch pad in Baltimore at Goddard Space, which is NASA, right? So these are all NASA. There's launch pads all over the place, right? So Kennedy is the most prime time because it's near the equator, and it's easier to get to space from an equatorial, excuse me. I always get that wrong.
I guess it's like the Hartsfield Atlanta airport.
Yes,
to
it's
outer
like
space.
a major
Oh,
hub.
God.
Exactly. So think of the launch pad at Kennedy as like a airport, and think of Blue Origin, SpaceX. We got to retrain our minds. So SpaceX, Blue Origin, Intuitive Machines, Axiom, they're airlines. Does that make sense? So it's the cargo that's going up there is like the shipping, right? And then maybe you have people sometimes, but then who's taking it up there might be a different airline, right? They're basically like the Uber for space, right?
Travel, yes.
Right.
There's different methods too.
So that's why it's called the spaceport. So that is what's going to be. So let me just kind of, Brooklyn, before you go forward, I want to explain this. So in December, I was at Space Mobility, which is here in Orlando, and General Purdy, who's in charge of most of these things, said what to me specifically, we're going to be flying rockets over people. And that's kind of scary sometimes when you think about that, right? But let me just give you, and Britt was actually just recently at week ago or 2 weeks ago at a conference where she saw Frontier Space creating jetliners that are rocket driven, basically airplanes of the future, and they'll fly at a different speed and in different latitude or at altitude, excuse me. So he said, we're going to be flying rockets over people. And that's not a popular idea, but it's not illegal and it's not unsafe. It's just we've never done it.
Been done, yes.
So let me kind of explain why that's important. Think of if you take off from right here, right now, like in the real world, and you go up into space. In the matter of a few minutes, you're, out in space. And you can come back in at re-entry in the matter of total from launch to land in an hour and 15 or hour and 20 minutes from here in Florida all the way in South Korea. So if you fly on a plane, it takes you 18 hours. Does that make sense? So let me give you more perspective. If you're in the military, if we're in, a situation where we have to send supplies to South Korea, it takes 18 hours on a C-17 and it may cost $2 to $3 million. Okay. But you can send a rocket with supplies in an hour and 20 minutes, right? So there's a lot to be there. And there's a lot to be said about how that's going to work. And commercial travel will change completely. So and we can share, Britt probably has it too. We can share what some of those actually like planes of the future will look like, and it's not that far away. They're already creating the technology. It's already happening. So we will be flying on rockets instead of planes. Now, planes aren't going to go away. We'll have Spirit, but you'll have people who can fly on a rocket and get somewhere in an hour and a half, anywhere in the world from where they are. And also you'll have satellites dropping supplies from space. So like Amazon, you might get a package, like, I'm not trying to be funny, but you may get like your paper towels that got dropped in 1 hour from a satellite. Unfortunately, that's just how things are going to work.
So from a creative standpoint, because there we have a multitude of creators within the space right now listening in and still here, and I appreciate you guys for listening and staying around. How would you go about being? Go ahead, Meta, clean, sir. You on mute?
You're muted, homie.
Sorry, before you get to your point, I want to tie this back that in a way that's relatable to the audience, right?
Do you think?
So I move in a couple of different capacities through here. Yes, I can create, but I'm really more about, encouraging people to get their stuff together in order to do great things. But and I oversimplified commonly going to the moon, right? It's an extremely complicated thing that obviously if it was easy, we would have done it more, and it's taken us 51 years to get back there.
All right, get up there.
But I want to explain to somebody kind of how social media has kind of jaded our perception, and even the metaverse, right? It's jaded our perception of the work that's required to do these things. It is really easy to create right now, whether you're TikToking, content creating, or even building these immersive experiences. It is a lot easier to do it now than it was 10 years ago, let alone 30 years ago, right? And because of that, sometimes the work ethic involved, as Jen and I kind of had this conversation about business, the steps that are involved in order to gain the experience to get to that stage where it makes it look easy, right? Because nothing we do in here is really easy. I'm looking at the art piece by Shea Arts behind you, and people think that it's easy to do that. That is probably a 20-year journey that allowed her the ability to be able to create like that, right? It's really important for those of you that are creating in this space that you still have to do the work on the outside. Like, you still have to develop your skills. You can't replace this space for the tools that it needs to be.
That's right.
Whatever level of success that you're trying to achieve, right? Because again, there's a ton of experience on this stage for people that make it look easy, right? Particularly the creators like JB and RJ. Like, I would love to be able to create like that, but I know that I'm not going to put in the work to get me to the level that it takes me to create like that. So if you want to achieve anything in any industry on any platform, you have to do the work on the outside. You really, really do, especially in the metaverse. We can make things look easy, but honestly, in enough time, you'll get exposed for not being authentic to your craft. And it's unfortunate to see creators crash and burn because they haven't put the work in order to make sure that their skills are sustainable, which is really what it's all about. So
Where's my camera at? Hold up. We good. What he's saying is you can't use tri-mesh without understanding primitive. You got it? Or it's going to look ugly. You got it? Okay, you got it. Thank you.
There's so much more to that too. Like, just to say, even if you're not a hands-on creator in here making things, I want you to remember something. The common theme that I hear at every conference from top executives in all of these industries that are supporting the developing space economy is that domain knowledge is invaluable.
Man,
So what does that mean? What that means to you is like the trades, 2-year degrees or less, like certificate programs, training on robotics or engineering or everything that those are all the domains, like trade schools, welding, like those types of things are going to be invaluable.
Yes.
So if you have those skills and you haven't activated them or you need to reactivate them, you don't have to be extremely creative and be able to build things. But if you have an understanding, because you've been spending time here about the ecosystem, you can connect the dots. And so this is, I will tell you right now, it's one of the, we can use technology to do the heavy lifting, just like we use calculators. We don't have to write problems for math out every time we have to figure out how much tip to give. we can use a calculator because we have technology, but the domain knowledge is what you can't just
Need
get.
the fundamentals. Yes, ma'am.
So we're talking about trade schools, the basic things. Every single one of them tell me that. So four-year schools are overrated. I'm not saying education is so important. I worked in education, but domain knowledge is what they're telling, the call to action is. So if that's something that means something to you, ride with it for sure.
Miss Paige, you are up. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, go down, come back up. I don't know why it is in that little section of yours.
I want to honor and build upon what Afiki is saying about like trades and skills, but also like align it with your why, a sense of purpose.
Yes.
We have intense and busy lives, and having that meaning behind. I'll tell you that long ago when I applied to whatever Scarlett was leading at Games for Change for going to the moon, I looked at the moon and I imagined, like, I looked up at this white circle and the man on the moon, and I'm like, well, we need to change what that perception is, right? That space, like the metaverse, is a place that can be of, by, for all. It can be it can be your neighbor's face on the moon, your best friend's face on the moon, each other's face on the moon, and a space for diversity. It's a place for all. And as we skill build and use our knowledge, let it be for inclusion, for diversity, for good, for the SDG skills.
Hop off and hop back on.
And skill share. Don't forget skill sharing also.
Yes.
Skill sharing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So create those worlds that we deserve in your neighborhood, in your block, in the metaverse, in your community, and in space, because it is a space that is of, by, for all of us together.
Yes. And look here. I would love to stay here and sit and elaborate on this all day, but my production team is letting me know that we are close to wrapping up and we have to get out of here. So with that being said, just go on down the line. I just want you guys to leave them with some closing remarks, if you guys don't mind. Ma'am?
Okay, so a lot of people ask me, so what's next? So Lunar Prize is actually planning to do 4 more missions. So we're actually going back to the moon again later this year. So we're definitely looking for more creators, want to leave a legacy as a time capsule. So all you have to do to reach out to us is go to BitBasil page, or anybody in the team can go in and let's create a digital twin of the moon of how is this ecosystem, the creator economy, building out the future. So anybody here, we are looking for you. We want to tell your story and elevate those conversations, and how to get involved.
Awesome.
That's right.
Brooklyn.
Okay, something to leave the audience with. Well, I'm Brooklyn Britt. I am your metaverse neighborhood friendly girl next door. I have dabbled in building. It's not my thing. I've dabbled in scripting. Definitely not my thing. But my point to you is that even if those things are not your things and you want to get involved and you want to learn more and you just want to, see what's out there, please feel free to reach out. This journey for me started about a year ago, and it's been a wild roller coaster ride since. I mean, from going to the moon to, scrubbing into actual surgeries and watching technology being utilized while people are sitting on a table open. I mean, it's been a wild ride. So if you guys want to be involved, if you have any questions, please don't feel intimidated. Please don't be scared. No question is a stupid question. Reach out to your girl. Reach out to one of us. We're happy to help. We're happy to get people involved. And you will be seeing myself, Paige, Arian posting about Bit Basel's further initiatives. And so if you want to get involved in those things, please be looking out for that on our pages, because we will be posting the links and the things there so you guys can, participate. So yeah, that's it.
Joe, sir.
Man, I'm going to just say, try your best to be good to everyone around you. We're in a new universe here. There's no reason we need to bring the outside inside.
Mm.
So
I love it. I love it.
I pass it to Brooke.
I really love that. I really love that.
That was awesome.
Each one of you moves me.
Right. How do you follow that?
So I would say that that good vibe that we create in the metaverse, right? That it can make a better world outside the metaverse.
Yeah.
I really believe it. Each step, each time you stretch a shape, you're reshaping the world. And
That's right.
thank
That's
you.
a great one.
Thank
That's
each
really
one of
good.
you.
I like that.
I love it. All right, Jay, what you got, man? You got two to follow up on.
Look, all right. So I'll stick to my slogan, stay creative, stay dreaming.
I love it. I love it. Meta Clean.
Yeah. Listen, my favorite quote by Henry Ford is, "Whether you think you can or think you can, you're right." But I'm gonna say this: if you can imagine it, if it has been put in your brain by a higher power, then yes, you can. I don't care what it is. If you can imagine it, yes, you can. And of course, I can't leave without saying create, love, inspire, and add value, because it really does make a difference.
You better have said it, because if you didn't, I was gonna say it for you.
That's right.
Afiki, yes, ma'am.
I would just say that I feel like if you haven't connected with each and every one of these individuals, you need to. They all offer so much value. And if you haven't noticed, the people I surround myself with are all from different situations and backgrounds. And I think in Horizons, we get stuck in the same little clique of people because we all see each other all the time. But don't be afraid to reach out to other people that maybe are new, and connect with them. I also think that there's so much value in getting the party started. And what I mean by that is that the hardest part is just getting started and just connect with somebody and get involved, even if it's just a small contribution. But then once you're there, figure out what you can do to contribute and what that means to you. And I'm so inspired by each and every one of these individuals and all of you as well. Mostly everybody in here I've interacted with, and you all have something to offer. And I'm hopeful that before we get off the stage, and I mean this wholeheartedly, that you have, no matter what the question is, even if it's silly or whatever, please ask, because that's when we start talking and communicating and conversating about these things, that's when the magic happens. So I'm hopeful that you guys will have some questions before we leave tonight, and that you're a little inspired to do great things.
Before we go, I just want to say that basically the unicorn is throwing me off because she's wearing all black, and I've never seen her without color before. I just want to point that out.
I stay split.
Okay, so wait, let me just say she was also. Oh, I gotta say one more thing. I'm so
Y'all
sorry.
better hurry before those cameras cut off.
Don't cut it off. Don't cut it off.
Hurry
So
up.
up here right now, we have 3 VR AR global ambassadors, and that's a powerful thing to share. Brooklyn is a founding ambassador. Paige is a founding ambassador. Michael Greer is not. I'm sorry. Let me just step back. Squirt Reynolds is a founding ambassador as well for the VR AR, and a few other people. But we have 4 of us from Horizons that are VR AR global ambassadors. It's a program I initiated, and so you want to connect with us, and we can keep the conversation going. But here we've got 3 of us here. For the VR AR Global Ambassador Program, which is a big deal. So I'm excited to
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's really special. So we already started just created a world for our next collaboration, and you are welcome to be part of it. Just befriend me or any one of us. And or
There we go.
it's
That's
going
right
to be
here.
a garden on the moon. It's going to be a garden on the moon. So if you're not a builder, maybe you're a storyteller, or maybe you take awesome photos, or maybe you're a sound engineer or an artist. So your voice has a place within this garden.
All right, and there we go. Hey, before we get out of here, I just want to let you guys know, we were on every single platform today in regard to this show, from Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and if I'm not mistaken, TikTok as well. So we were broadcasting and streaming on all 4 platforms today. I want to say thank you for Luke's Vision Production, CJ and Miss M5 Divine for doing a phenomenal job at keeping this thing relevant and keeping these cameras rolling. I greatly appreciate you guys. Before I get out of here, I want to highlight if I'm not mistaken, the last Wednesday of the month, because it's still International Women's Month. I'm inviting all the women to be a part of the show, because we're going to shower you guys with love, and we're going to make sure you guys are aware that you guys are important within this community and the things that you do within this universe, not just in the metaverse, but in real life. So if you guys want to be a part of it, please feel free to come through, and I promise that you guys will be spoiled. You have my word. Again, I want to say thank you for the Lunar staff, all of you guys, man. Thank you for all the information. It was phenomenal, and I hope and I pray that the audience received a lot of this information and a little bit more enthused about space and space travel. With that being said, I appreciate you guys. Be phenomenal to each other, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.
Hey, Burden.
How you doing?
Yo,
You got like it's right here. It's like a little gap right here.
I know, man. It's your boy Burden, the creator, builder. You guys are enjoying the episodes and all the shows to come. We always in build. Hey, real quick, got a surprise for you guys. You guys come on up here. Feel free to. Got my own nonprofit called Good to Great. GOOD, the number 2, great.
You will come now.
Fitness. You want to donate? Feel free to. Check the IG page whenever you get the time. I appreciate the donations.
Do you have
Look forward
social media?
to greater shows. Later.
Hey.
Sister Moon, come on, sister.
I was just in the audience.
Hey, somebody throw a rock at Eltron.
Glitter.
Not a rock.
Yes, Eltron. Come on. Get your ass stuff.
Hey, we here. We got this. Everybody in here.
That was awesome.
Good job, boo-boo.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hey, we all in this picture.